Hi, I'm Mike Little, and we're here today to talk about basic computer concepts. First, we're going to talk about basic computer hardware and how most computers, when taken down to their simplest terms, are very much the same as your pocket calculator. Secondly, we're going to standardize on some terms that we use while talking about computer hardware. And then thirdly, we're going to discuss in a step-by-step manner the Macintosh computer and how it applies to our production at American Color. First, let's talk about the pocket calculator, or as I have here, the desktop calculator, and how it compares to what we see in front of us with the Macintosh. First, both of these units somehow have to have a brain inside that is going to do the computing for us. The brain inside one of these units is referred to as a microprocessor. The microprocessor is contained inside the pocket calculator and inside this portion of the Macintosh. This is called the CPU on the Macintosh. So that's our first similarity between the two. Both of them have a microprocessor with a memory for a brain. As we can see, both of these also have a keyboard. On the Macintosh it's quite more extensive, but nonetheless both of them have a keyboard. In the computer world, that would be considered an input device, when you're inputting data to the microprocessor. We can input data on the Macintosh via the keyboard or via the mouse. Now, on the desktop calculator we have here, we have an LCD readout. The LCD readout, the same as your color monitor on your Macintosh, is an output device. Again, we now have three of our basic parts of the computer right here. We have a keyboard, an input device, also on your calculator an input device. We have a CPU, or microprocessor with memory. Here we have inside of this unit a microprocessor with memory and an output device on your calculator, an LCD readout on a Macintosh. We have your monitor right here. Now those are three parts. We have I/O, input, and output here. We have a microprocessor inside one of these, with memory in both of these units. So we have memory, microprocessor, input and output. But what's the fourth one? And of course that's a simple one. On your pocket calculator, or any calculator, you have either a solar cell or a battery. For your Macintosh, of course, we have the power cord going into the wall. Electronics does not run without electricity. It has to come from somewhere. Let's now look at our block diagrams. Figure 1 of the calculator block diagram and Figure 2, the simple computer block diagram, and see how they compare. As we can see here in Figure 1 of our calculator block diagram, starting from the left, we have an input device, keyboard, brain with memory, which we will call a CPU, and an output device, the LCD readout. As we can see here in Figure 2, the simple computer block diagram has the same three basic parts: input, CPU, and an output. As we can see on the computer diagram, there's an additional mouse to the keyboard as an input device, and multiple output devices: a printer, a prover, and a monitor. This takes the place of the LCD readout on your calculator block diagram. But the big part of this is to remember where there is three parts. You have an input, you have a CPU with memory. As you can see, we've changed the configuration of our tabletop and have added a new piece of equipment. This is a color scanner. We're going to first be discussing input devices and what's meant by that. First of all, the word input means that we're going to be taking digital data and sending it to the CPU, inputting it to the CPU. That can be done, as we talked about earlier, like on the pocket calculator, from your keyboard. You type in, displays it to the screen. Does the keyboard attach directly to the screen? No. The keyboard itself inputs data to the CPU. The CPU unit, down here, takes the data and sends it to the monitor, the output device. With the new technology of computers we use today, we are allowed to use a mouse. A mouse, as we can see up front, is another input device that allows us easier operation from the keyboard. The color scanner is also a type of input device. It allows us to take transparencies or reflective art and scan them in, turn them into digital information, and feed them into the CPU unit. The CPU can then manipulate the digital data in the way we ask it to. Let's review this again. And the big thing to remember is a scanner takes reflective art or transparencies and turns it into digital data and inputs it into the CPU in the same way that a keyboard or a mouse inputs data to the CPU. We're going to talk about output devices. Once the data has been input from the keyboard or a scanner or the mouse, the data is manipulated, and then something is going to have to be sent to you for visual reasons, to be able to see it, whether it be a soft copy or a hard copy. Your soft copy will come from your monitor. Remember, this is not a TV set. This is your monitor. Okay? That's very important. Anytime you're talking about this unit, please call it by the right name, the monitor. This is your soft copy. It is the same as your LCD readout that you use in your calculator. Next, one of the things that your calculator didn't have, unless you had a printing calculator, was an output device. This one here is called the LaserWriter, and the LaserWriter is a black and white printer or output device. Here is an example of the type of output that the LaserWriter is able to generate. That is our second type of output device. Our third type of output device is on this side, and this is our QMS color proofer. Please notice that I used a different word for those two technologies. This one is a printer. It does black and white. This one is color. It's called a proofer. As we can see, the output from the proofer is quite different with a very